I was sitting in the quarterly all-hands meeting with 300 employees on the video call when HR Director Patricia interrupted our CEO mid-sentence. Her voice turned ice-cold as she announced my employment was being terminated immediately for performance issues and policy violations. The entire call went silent. My face filled everyone's screen, my humiliation on full display. I nodded, once closed my laptop, placed my badge on my desk, and walked out. 1 hour later, the compliance officer's panicked voice cut through their meeting, who just revoked our entire domain access. My hands shook so badly I could barely grip the steering wheel. I sat in my car in the parking garage, engine off, staring at nothing. 3 years. I had given TechVault Solutions 3 years of my life. 3 years of 80-hour weeks, missed family events and weekends spent fixing server crashes at 2 in the morning. I built their entire infrastructure from the ground up when they were just 40 employees crammed into a converted warehouse space in Austin. I was their senior systems administrator, the only person with root administrative access to their domain controllers, cloud services, and backup systems. I knew every line of code, every configuration, every security protocol. When I started, they had nothing. I created everything they relied on. I remembered the exact moment I knew I had to join TechVault. The interview was in a cramped office that smelled like pizza and energy drinks. Marcus, the CEO, had looked at me with this intensity and said I would be employee number 42, and if I helped him build something great, we would all succeed together. He made me believe in the vision, a mid-sized cybersecurity company that would revolutionize how businesses protected their data. So I worked. God, how I worked. I missed my sister's wedding because we had a critical server migration that could not wait. Emma never quite forgave me for that. But Marcus told me I was irreplaceable. He said those exact words at the company Christmas party last year in front of everyone. Irreplaceable. I trained the entire IT team personally. 5 people who knew nothing about our systems when they started. I created documentation for everything, held weekly training sessions, answered questions at all hours. I was patient and thorough because I wanted TechVault to succeed. But I ignored the red flags. Paychecks that came 3 days late sometimes. Executive turnover that seemed faster than normal. Mysterious closed-door meetings that stopped abruptly when I walked past. The way Patricia from HR watched me during team meetings with this calculating expression I could never quite read. Before I left my desk today, I had maybe 30 seconds alone. My fingers moved on muscle memory. I changed the master password to the domain controller, revoked all administrative certificates, transferred DNS control to a new registrar account only I could access. Set backup authentication to my personal phone. I did not plan it. My hands just moved while my brain was still processing the humiliation of being fired in front of 300 people. Sitting in my car, reality hit me like a truck. I had complete control of TechVault's entire digital infrastructure. Every single system ran through the domain controller I just locked them out of. Their client data, their internal systems, their email, their payment processing, everything. They could not access anything without me. My phone started buzzing in my purse. I pulled it out and saw 15 missed calls, 20 text messages, an email from Compliance Officer Douglas with the subject line in all caps, "Urgent system lockout, call immediately." Another email from Patricia. "This is illegal. You will be prosecuted." They knew it was me. Of course they knew. I was the only person who could have done this, and they were absolutely terrified. Something dark and unfamiliar stirred in my chest. For the first time since Patricia announced my termination, I felt something other than shock and humiliation. I felt power. I drove home to my small one-bedroom apartment in a complex that had seen better days. My phone would not stop ringing. Every few minutes, a new call, a new text, a new email. I ignored them all until finally at 7:30 that evening, I answered. "Brittany." Thank God. It was Marcus. His voice had that sticky sweet quality he used when he wanted something. There's been a terrible misunderstanding. Patricia acted without my approval. This is not how I wanted this handled. Come back tomorrow. We will sit down and discuss this like adults." I was not stupid. I could hear the panic underneath his charm barely concealed. "I need time to think," I said. Of course. Take the evening. But Brittany, we need to resolve this quickly. The systems are down. Clients are calling. You understand the position this puts us in. The position it put them in. Not the position they put me in when they fired me in front of the entire company. "I will call you tomorrow," I said and hung up. Within 5 minutes, my email dinged. It was from a law firm I had never heard of, Thompson and Associates. The subject line read, "Cease and desist." I opened it with shaking hands. The letter demanded I return company property immediately and restore all access to company systems. It threatened criminal charges for theft, extortion, and violation of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act. It gave me 24 hours to comply. I set my phone down and tried to breathe. This was spinning out of control so fast. I opened my laptop and started looking through files I had backed up to my personal drive months ago. It was just routine practice, something every systems administrator does. Keep backups of important documentation in case something happens to the company's servers. I was looking for anything that might help me understand why they fired me so suddenly and so publicly. That's when I found the folder labeled Q2 Security Review. I opened it and started reading. My blood went cold. Internal emails discussing the security breach that happened in June. The one that cost us 3 major clients. The breach happened when I was on vacation in California visiting my mother. I was nowhere near the office, but these emails dated from July and August kept mentioning my name. Reassigning blame for Q2 security breach to systems administrator. Need to build paper trail. Performance documentation required. They were planning to make me the scapegoat. The breach was not my fault. It was an intern named Tyler who clicked on a phishing link and gave hackers access to a client database. But Tyler was the nephew of one of the board members, so they decided to blame me instead. The fabricated performance issues Patricia mentioned in my termination. They had been building a case against me for months, creating documentation that made it look like I was incompetent, negligent, careless. They needed someone to take the fall, and they chose me. I sat back in my chair stunned. This was not a misunderstanding. This was a calculated plan. My phone rang again. It was Jason, my boyfriend. We had been together for 8 months. I answered desperately, needing someone to talk to. "Brittany, what the hell is going on? I have been getting calls about you." "They fired me, Jason. In front of everyone. And now I found out they were planning it for months. Setting me up to take the blame for something I did not do." There was a long pause. "So just give them their access back and move on. Why are you making this harder than it needs to be?" I felt like he had slapped me. They destroyed my reputation. They fabricated evidence against me. I am not just going to roll over. "Brittany, you are going to make things worse. Just give them what they want." We argued for 10 more minutes before I hung up. He did not understand. Or maybe he did not want to understand. I looked at my bank account. $8,300. Maybe 2 months of expenses if I was careful. The job market for systems administrators was tight right now. I had student loans. My mother was in an assisted living facility that cost $2,200 a month, and I covered half of that because Emma could not afford it alone. I was scared. A message notification popped up on LinkedIn. It was from someone named Angela Brennan who worked in accounting at TechVault. I recognized the name but had never spoken to her directly. The message was short. "I saw what they did to you at the All Hands. I am so sorry. There is more you should know. Can we meet?" I stared at the message for a long time before typing back yes. "When?" "Tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. The coffee shop on 6th Street, the one with the blue awning." "Okay. See you there." That evening I tried to sleep but could not. I kept thinking about those emails about Marcus and Patricia, about the careful way they had been setting me up. I thought about the 3 years I gave them, the loyalty, the dedication. At 10 p.m., there was a knock on my door. I looked through the peephole and saw 2 police officers standing in the hallway. My heart dropped into my stomach. I opened the door. "Can I help you?" The older officer, a woman with gray hair, pulled back in a tight bun, said, "Are you Brittany Foster?" "Yes. I am Detective Sarah Hammond. This is Officer Torres. We need to ask you some questions about a complaint filed by your former employer. Would you be willing to come down to the station?" "Am I under arrest?" "No, but we strongly suggest you cooperate." I grabbed my jacket and followed them out to their patrol car. My neighbors watched through their windows. I felt my face burn with shame. They thought I was a criminal. The police station was exactly like every police station on television. Fluorescent lights that made everything look greenish and sick. Plastic chairs bolted to the floor. The smell of coffee and something sour I could not identify. Detective Hammond led me to an interview room and offered me water. I shook my head. Officer Torres stood in the corner watching. Hammond sat across from me at a small metal table and opened a folder. "Patricia Chen from TechVault Solutions filed a report this afternoon. She claims you stole company property and are holding their systems hostage. She wants to press charges. Can you tell me your side?" I took a breath and explained everything as clearly as I could. I did not steal anything. I changed passwords to systems I built and managed. Systems that were my responsibility for 3 years. I had administrative access because it was my job. When they fired me, my access should have been revoked immediately. But they were not prepared for that, and I acted first. Hammond listened without interrupting. When I finished, she said, "So you are willing to restore their access? If they drop the termination and clear my record, yes. That is between you and them. But Brittany, I need you to understand something. Texas computer crime laws are very specific. Withholding access to systems you do not own, even if you built them, can be considered criminal. The company can argue you are extorting them. I am not extorting anyone. I just want my job back and my reputation restored." Hammond looked at me for a long moment. "I believe you, but TechVault has expensive lawyers, and you are going to need one too. Do you have a lawyer?" "No. You should get one. Soon." They kept me there for 2 hours going over the same questions again and again. Finally, at midnight, they let me go. Torres drove me back to my apartment. As I got out of the car, he said quietly, "For what it is worth, I think you got screwed. But be careful. These corporate types play dirty." I went inside and sat on my couch in the dark. Jason had not called back. My phone showed 3 more voicemails from Marcus, each one angrier than the last. I barely slept. At 6:15 the next morning, I drove to the coffee shop on 6th Street. Angela was already there, sitting at a corner table, clutching a paper cup with both hands. She looked terrified. I sat down. "Thank you for meeting me." Angela was in her mid-40s, with short brown hair and deep circles under her eyes. She glanced around like she was afraid someone might see us. "I should not be here. If they find out I talked to you, I will be next." "What did you want to tell me?" She leaned in close and spoke barely above a whisper. "TechVault has been defrauding clients for over a year, billing for security services we never performed. I found the discrepancies 3 months ago during a routine audit." My stomach clenched. "What kind of discrepancies?" "Big ones. The CFO, Derek Morrison, created fake invoices. We billed clients for security assessments, penetration testing, 24/7 monitoring services, but we never actually did the work. Just sent invoices and collected payment. I found at least $2 million in fraudulent billing over the past 18 months. Did you report it?" I told Derek. He is my boss. He said I misunderstood the invoicing structure and told me to drop it. But I did not drop it. I kept digging. I found emails between Derek and Marcus discussing how to hide the billing irregularities. Then last week, Derek called me into his office and told me very clearly that if I valued my job, I would stop asking questions. Why are you telling me this? Angela's eyes filled with tears. Because they are going to use you as a scapegoat for more than just the security breach. One of our former clients is already asking questions about billing irregularities. They are going to blame everything on you. Make it look like you were the one stealing from clients. And when you are fired and discredited, no one will believe you if you try to defend yourself. She reached into her bag and pulled out a USB drive. This has copies of the fraudulent invoices and the internal emails. I have been documenting everything. But Brittany, you cannot tell anyone where you got this. I have 3 kids. I am a single mother. I cannot lose my job. I took the USB drive with trembling hands. I won't tell anyone. Be careful. These people are dangerous. They will destroy anyone who gets in their way. Angela left quickly, practically running out of the coffee shop. I sat there for a long time staring at the small black USB drive. This changed everything. I had leverage now, but I also had a responsibility to protect Angela. I drove home and immediately plugged the USB drive into my laptop. Spreadsheets full of fake invoices, emails discussing the fraud and careful corporate language that was damning if you knew what you were looking at. Marcus knew. Patricia knew. Derek knew. This went all the way to the top. When I got back to my apartment, there was a notice taped to my door. Eviction warning, 30 days to vacate. I ripped it off and went inside. My landlord, Mr. Hernandez, lived 2 units down. I knocked on his door. He answered, looking uncomfortable. Brittany, I am sorry. I got a call from a lawyer at your company. They said you are under criminal investigation and that you are a liability. I cannot have that kind of trouble in my building. Mr. Hernandez, I am not a criminal. They fired me unfairly, and now they are trying to destroy my life. I have to protect my property. I am sorry. 30 days. He closed the door in my face. I went back to my apartment and started crying. Then my phone rang. It was Jason. Hey, I have been thinking about what you said yesterday. Jason, I really need you right now. That is actually why I am calling. I got a job offer today. From Tech Vault. Marcus called me personally. The offer is really good, Brittany. But he said it is contingent on me helping convince you to restore their access. He said it would be better for everyone, including you. I felt cold all over. They bought you. It is not like that. I'm trying to help you. If you just give them what they want, this all goes away. We are done, Jason. Do not call me again. I hung up and blocked his number. My boyfriend had been bought off with a job offer. I had never felt so alone. The next morning, I tried to check my bank account and got an error message. I called the bank. The representative told me there was a legal hold on my funds. A court order from Tech Vault claiming I stole company equipment. They froze my entire savings account pending investigation. I had $47 in cash in my wallet. No access to my $8,000 in savings. No boyfriend. Facing eviction. And Tech Vault was systematically destroying every part of my life. I called every lawyer I could find in the phone book. None of them would take my case without a retainer I could not afford. My bank account was frozen. I had no credit cards with available balance. I called legal aid, and they told me their wait list was 4 months long. I was completely on my own. My mother's care facility called. The woman on the phone was polite but firm. Miss Foster, your payment is 3 weeks overdue. If we do not receive payment within 7 days, we will have to discharge your mother. My bank account is frozen because of a legal issue. I am trying to resolve it. I understand, but we have policies. We need payment, or we need to make other arrangements. After I hung up, I sat on the floor of my apartment and cried until I could not cry anymore. My mother had Alzheimer's. She needed professional care. Emma could not take her in because she had twin boys and worked full-time, and her husband had just lost his job. If they discharged my mother, I had no idea what we would do. An email arrived from Randall Peterson, the lawyer from Thompson and Associates. He offered a settlement meeting. Come discuss terms in person. He included a time and place 2 p.m. tomorrow at a conference room in a downtown hotel. I had no options left. I went. The hotel conference room was cold and sterile. Marcus was there looking polished in an expensive suit. Randall was older with silver hair and the kind of smile that never reached his eyes. They stood when I entered. Brittany, thank you for coming. Marcus used his warm voice again, the one from the early days. This situation has gotten out of hand. Patricia overreacted. I am very sorry about the all-hands meeting. That was handled poorly. I sat down across from them. What do you want? Randall slid a folder across the table. We want to resolve this quickly and fairly. You restore all access to company systems. You accept a termination classified as voluntary resignation. We drop all criminal complaints and unfreeze your bank accounts. We provide a severance package of 3 months' salary. 3 months' salary was about $21,000. It would solve my immediate problems, pay my mother's care facility, give me time to find a new job. What about the NDA? I asked. No NDA required if you do not want one. Just restore access and we all move on. It sounded too good. Something was wrong. I could feel it. Randall pulled out a tablet. We would like you to restore the access now while we are all here, just to make sure there are no complications. Then we will sign the paperwork. You want to watch me do it right now, before I sign anything. Standard procedure. We need to verify the restoration is complete. I looked at the table and noticed a small recording device next to Randall's briefcase. Why are you recording this? For our records. Standard procedure. Marcus's phone rang. He glanced at it and stood up. Excuse me for just a moment. He stepped out into the hallway. While he was gone, Randall received a text message. His phone was sitting face up on the table. I could see the message preview on the screen. Is she falling for it? He smirked. Then he realized I had seen it and his face went neutral again too quickly. Everything clicked into place. They were going to have me restore access, record it, then claim I had been extorting them the whole time. The generous settlement was bait. They would have video proof of me confessing by restoring access, and then they would prosecute me anyway. The fraud Angela told me about would stay buried. I would be in jail. I stood up. I need to think about this. Marcus came back in. Brittany, please. This is a good offer. Better than you will get anywhere else. I will call you tomorrow with my decision. I walked toward the door. Marcus grabbed my arm. Not hard, but firmly. You have no idea who you are fighting. I have connections. Money. Lawyers. I will destroy you completely. You will never work in tech again. Is this really worth it? I pulled my arm away. Let me go. Last chance, Brittany. I left. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely press the elevator button. That night I researched whistleblower protections. If I reported the fraud Angela had shown me, I might have legal protection. But I needed to do it right. Report to the correct agency with proper documentation, and I would be putting Angela at risk. I called her. She answered on the first ring. Brittany? I need to ask you something. The information you gave me, is it definitely fraud, not just accounting errors or misunderstandings? It is fraud. I am certain. Her voice was shaking. I might need to report it. To protect myself. But I will never tell them where I got the information. There was a long silence. Then she started crying. Derek called me into his office today. He asked me if I had been talking to anyone. He did not accuse me of anything, but he made it very clear he is watching me. Brittany, I am scared. I am so sorry. I will do everything I can to protect you. Please be careful. At 3 in the morning, my apartment door was kicked in. I jolted awake, heart pounding. 3 men in private security uniforms came in with flashlights. One of them held up a paper. "We have a court order authorizing us to seize company property." "What are you talking about?" "Your laptop, tablet, any storage devices? You stole company property and we are here to recover it." "I did not steal anything." They did not listen. They took my laptop, my tablet, my external hard drive with all my personal backups, everything. One of them, a younger guy, with a scar on his cheek, leaned close as they were leaving and said quietly, "You should have taken the deal." After they left, I sat on my couch and realized what just happened. They took everything, including the laptop where I had saved Angela's files. They would trace those files back to her. She was in danger now because of me. I had no devices, no way to fight back, no evidence, nothing. I woke up to 43 text messages. Half were from numbers I did not recognize. The other half were from former coworkers, all saying the same thing. "Did you see the news?" I walked to the library 6 blocks away and used their public computer. There was a local news article with the headline, "Accounting Employee Arrested in Corporate Extortion Scheme." Angela's mugshot, her terrified face staring at the camera. The article said Angela Brennan and an unnamed accomplice had conspired to extort TechVault Solutions by threatening to release confidential company information. Angela was being charged with fraud, extortion, and theft of proprietary data. She was being held on $50,000 bail. I felt sick. This was my fault. I destroyed her life. The article continued. It mentioned that Angela's 3 children had been temporarily placed with Child Protective Services while the investigation continued. Her ex-husband was filing for full custody, citing her criminal behavior as evidence of unfitness. I tried to call Angela, but her phone was disconnected. I did not know what to do. My mother's care facility called again. "Miss Foster, we have not received payment. We will be discharging your mother tomorrow morning. You need to make arrangements. Please just give me 1 more week." "I am sorry. We have been more than patient. Your sister is listed as secondary contact. We have already called her." 20 minutes later, Emma called. She was furious. "Brittany, what is going on? They are discharging Mom tomorrow, and I have to take her. I cannot take care of her. I have the twins. Brad just lost his job. We can barely keep our heads above water." "Emma, I am sorry. My bank account is frozen. I am trying to fix this." "You are always trying to fix something. You know what? You are toxic. Everything you touch turns to disaster. I do not want Mom around this. I do not want my kids around this. You need to get your life together. Emma, please. Do not call me again until you figure out how to be a responsible adult." She hung up. I had lost my job, my home, my boyfriend, my family, and now my mother was being kicked out of her care facility because of me. And Angela, who only tried to help, was sitting in jail with her children taken away. The eviction notice was official now. I had to be out in 7 days. I spent the last of my $47 on a week at a motel on the south side of town. The kind of place where you pay cash and nobody asks questions. The room smelled like cigarettes and mildew. The sheets were stained, but it was all I could afford. I sat on the lumpy bed and thought about just giving up, just restoring their access, begging for mercy, accepting whatever they did to me. I had lost everything already. What was the point of fighting? Local tech news picked up the story. The headline read, "Disgruntled employee holds company hostage after termination." The article painted me as unstable, vindictive, and dangerous. It quoted Marcus extensively. He called me a disturbed individual who could not handle professional criticism. He said TechVault had tried repeatedly to resolve the situation peacefully, but I refused to cooperate. Patricia wrote a LinkedIn post about toxic employees that went viral. She did not name me directly, but everyone knew who she meant. Hundreds of people commented agreeing with her, calling for criminal charges, saying people like me should never work in tech again. I was completely alone. I had $7 left. No food. I had been wearing the same clothes for 3 days because I could not access my apartment to get more before the eviction. I had no phone, no computer, no way to apply for jobs or even look for help. I cried for hours. Then I just sat there numb, staring at the wall. There was a knock on the motel room door. I thought about not answering, but it kept knocking. Finally, I got up and looked through the peephole. It was Detective Hammond. I opened the door. She was not in uniform. Jeans and a jacket. "Can I come in?" she asked. I nodded and stepped aside. She looked around the room, and I saw something like sympathy cross her face. She sat on the single chair by the window. I sat on the bed. "I am not here officially," she said. "I probably should not be here at all. But I wanted to tell you something. I believe you." I stared at her. "What?" "I have been investigating Tech Vault for 3 months. Started with a different complaint, something unrelated. But the more I dig, the more things do not add up. I think you got caught in something bigger than just a bad termination. But I cannot help you unless you help me. And I need you to trust me." "Why should I trust you? You are a cop. They are a corporation with lawyers and money." "Because I have seen this pattern before. Tech Vault destroys anyone who challenges them. 5 former employees in 2 years. All left under suspicious circumstances. All signed NDAs. All stopped working in tech or moved out of state. There is something wrong there, and I think you stumbled into it." She pulled out a folder from her bag. 3 months ago, a former employee named Thomas Ryder filed a complaint about retaliation after he reported safety violations. Nothing came of it because he signed an NDA and would not talk. But I kept looking. Found 2 more with similar stories. Tech Vault pays them off, makes them sign NDAs, and buries the problems. "What do you want from me?" "Everything you know. Every piece of evidence you have. Full cooperation with a real investigation. But Brittany, you need to understand what that means. You will have to testify. You will have to go up against them publicly in court. They will come after you even harder than they already have. I do not have anything left for them to take." Hammond looked at me seriously. "They can always take more. Trust me on that. But if you are willing to fight, really fight, I will do everything I can to protect you. I will get you a real lawyer. I will work with the district attorney, but you have to commit." Before I could answer, the motel phone rang. The front desk told me I had a visitor, a man named Garrett Shaw. I told them to send him to my room. 3 minutes later, there was another knock. I opened the door to find a tall man in his 50s with kind eyes and an expensive suit that looked out of place in this motel. "Brittany Foster, I am Garrett Shaw. I represent Angela Brennan. Can I speak with you, Detective Hammond? Good to see you." Hammond nodded at him. "Garrett." They knew each other. Garrett came in and closed the door. "Angela asked me to find you, against her public defender's advice, I might add. She wanted me to tell you something. If you are both going down anyway, you might as well go down fighting together." He set his briefcase on the bed and opened it. "I specialize in whistleblower cases. I will represent both of you pro bono if you are willing to file a formal complaint against Tech Vault. But I need to be honest about what you are facing. Tech Vault is about to go public with an IPO, initial public offering. They filed their S1 paperwork 6 weeks ago. If we file complaints now during the IPO quiet period, it will trigger an SEC investigation. That could destroy their public offering and cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. They will fight back with everything they have. Could it be worse than what they are already doing?" "Yes," Garrett said flatly. "Much worse. But Angela said if she is going to lose her kids anyway, she wants it to mean something. She wants to stop them from doing this to other people." I looked between Garrett and Hammond. 2 people I barely knew, offering to help me fight a corporation with unlimited resources. I thought about Angela sitting in jail, about my mother being discharged from her care facility, about all the other employees Tech Vault had destroyed. What do I need to do? Garrett's office was in a high-rise downtown with a view of the river. It was the kind of office that screamed money and power. He explained that he took whistleblower cases because his father had been destroyed by a corporation 30 years ago, and he never got justice. So Garrett dedicated his career to making sure others had a chance to fight back. Angela arrived an hour after me. She was out on bail thanks to Garrett. She looked exhausted and frightened, but also determined. We hugged for a long time. "I am so sorry," I whispered. "This is not your fault. This is their fault." Garrett laid out the strategy. We would file a formal whistleblower complaint with the SEC regarding the billing fraud. Simultaneously, we would file complaints with the Texas Workforce Commission about wrongful termination and retaliation. And we would prepare for TechVault's counterattack. "We need more than just Angela's documents," Garrett said. "We need testimony from other employees. We need to prove a pattern of fraud and retaliation. And Brittany, you still have one advantage. You still control their domain access." "How is that an advantage?" "They want to prosecute me for that. Because they cannot function without it. Their business is paralyzed. Every day that goes by, they lose money and clients. We can use that as leverage carefully and legally." Garrett drafted a proposal to TechVault's lawyers. Brittany would restore full access if TechVault agreed to drop all criminal charges against both women, provide full severance, clear their records, and cooperate with an independent audit of their billing practices. It was reasonable, but Garrett predicted they would refuse. He was right. 3 days later, TechVault filed a federal lawsuit against me. Violations of the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, federal charges. The U.S. attorney was reviewing the case for potential prosecution. If convicted, I could face up to 5 years in federal prison. Marcus gave another interview to a tech industry blog. He called me dangerous and compared me to a cyber terrorist holding a company hostage. The interview went viral. Thousands of comments calling for my arrest. But something else happened too. The SEC received our whistleblower complaint and started asking questions. An investigator called TechVault's offices requesting documentation. The IPO process, which had been moving forward smoothly, suddenly stalled. Investors started asking questions. TechVault's valuation dropped 20% in a week. Marcus was panicking. I knew because Hammond told me. She was working with the district attorney, now coordinating with the SEC investigation. The whole thing was bigger than anyone realized. TechVault fought back dirty. They hired a private investigator who followed me everywhere. I saw him sitting in a car outside Garrett's office, outside the library where I used the computers. Everywhere I went, he was there. Someone leaked my sealed juvenile record to the press. When I was 16, I shoplifted a lipstick from a drugstore. Got caught. Did community service. The record was sealed. But suddenly it was on social media with people claiming I had a history of theft and criminal behavior. They posted on industry forums spreading rumors about my mental health. Anonymous accounts claiming I was unstable, unreliable had been fired from previous jobs for similar behavior. None of it was true, but people believed it. Jason appeared on a local news segment as a concerned ex-boyfriend. He suggested I might be having a mental breakdown, said he tried to help me but I refused treatment. Watching him lie on television, I felt something break inside me. Then I realized he was doing exactly what they paid him to do. TechVault filed complaints with my professional certification boards trying to revoke my credentials. They contacted every company I applied to, poisoning my reputation. I could not get a job interview anywhere. But Garrett was building a case. With Hammond's help, we found 3 former TechVault employees willing to talk confidentially. They had similar stories of retaliation, suspicious firings, and forced NDAs. One of them, a former senior developer named Caroline Hughes, said she had emails proving Marcus personally ordered the cover-up of the Q2 breach. She had kept them because she thought someday she might need leverage. She was right. The evidence piled up. Fraudulent billing, retaliation, wrongful termination, harassment, cover-ups, everything carefully documented. The SEC investigation expanded. They started looking at TechVault's entire financial structure. Other clients came forward with billing concerns. The IPO was postponed indefinitely. Local news outlets started questioning TechVault's narrative. A tech industry reporter named David Chen reached out to me for an interview. Garrett advised me to do it. Tell my side of the story. The interview aired on the local news. I was calm and factual. I showed the documents, explained the timeline, talked about the fraud and the retaliation. David was fair and thorough. The narrative started to shift. Comments on social media went from attacking me to questioning TechVault. Other former employees started coming forward publicly sharing their own stories of mistreatment. TechVault's stock valuation, even though they were still private, dropped by 40%. Major clients terminated their contracts. The company was hemorrhaging money and credibility. Marcus was desperate. I could see it in the increasingly frantic legal filings. In the angry emails Garrett shared with me. They were losing control of the situation. Then Garrett got a call. TechVault wanted to settle. Everything. Complete vindication. 7-figure settlement for both Angela and me. Clean records. Public apology. In exchange, we would restore access and sign NDAs. It was everything we fought for. Angela was crying when Garrett told us. Her kids had just come back to live with her. She desperately wanted this to be over. The offer is good for 24 hours, Garrett said. After that, they will fight us in court for years. This could drag on for 3 or 4 years. Federal trials are slow. You would be tied up in litigation for most of your 30s, Brittany. And there is no guarantee we win. I wanted to say yes. I was so tired. I had been living in motels for weeks. My mother was in a facility Emma found, but it was not as nice as the previous one, and Emma would not let me visit. I had no money, no home, no life. But something felt wrong. I asked for the weekend to think about it. Garrett said it was a good deal. Angela wanted to take it. Even Hammond said it would resolve everything cleanly. That night I got an email from an anonymous address. Subject line: They are going to pin it on Caroline. I opened it. Inside were internal TechVault emails from the past week. Marcus and Randall discussing their strategy. If they settled with Angela and me, they would blame everything on Caroline Hughes and Derek Morrison, the former CFO. They would claim Caroline and Derek were rogue employees who acted without company knowledge. Marcus would claim he was deceived by his own staff. The company would survive just restructured, and Caroline, who helped us, would be destroyed. Caroline had no idea she was about to become their scapegoat. I called Caroline immediately and told her everything. She was shocked but grateful for the warning. Then I called Angela and explained what I found. There was a long silence on the phone. So, if we take the settlement, they destroy Caroline instead, Angela said quietly. Yes. Then we do not take it. You have your kids back, Angela. You need this money. You need this to be over. My kids need a mother who teaches them to do the right thing, even when it costs everything. I started crying. Are you sure? I am sure. The next morning, I called Garrett and told him we were rejecting the settlement. He tried to talk me out of it, but when he realized we were serious, he smiled. All right then, let's go bigger. We coordinated everything. Caroline agreed to testify publicly before the SEC. Angela and I joined her. We brought every piece of evidence: the fraudulent invoices, the cover-up emails, the retaliation timeline, everything. Garrett also contacted David Chen, the reporter. We gave him an exclusive. He wrote a massive investigative article exposing everything: the fraud, the retaliation, the systematic destruction of employees who challenged TechVault. The article included the emails showing Marcus's direct involvement. The article published on a Monday morning. By Monday afternoon, it had been shared 80,000 times. Other former employees came forward publicly. The tech community erupted. Social media was full of people sharing their own stories of corporate abuse. TechVault became the symbol of everything wrong with tech company culture. Tuesday morning, the SEC announced formal charges against TechVault's executive team: Marcus, Derek, Patricia, all of them. Wednesday, Marcus resigned in disgrace. His statement was 1 paragraph long and admitted nothing. Thursday, Patricia was fired by the board. Friday, TechVault declared bankruptcy. Creditors filed to seize assets. The company that seemed invincible a month ago was destroyed. The federal prosecutor dropped all charges against Angela and me. We were witnesses, not criminals. The state cleared our records completely. Angela got her kids back permanently. Caroline avoided being scapegoated and actually got job offers from companies impressed by her integrity. Garrett helped us file civil suits against TechVault's bankruptcy estate. The settlements were not millions, but enough. I got $93,000, enough to pay off my student loans, enough to get my mother into a good facility, enough to start over. I reconciled with Emma. She apologized for not believing me. I apologized for letting her down. We cried together, and she let me see my mother again. My mother did not remember the past few months, which was maybe a blessing. I broke up with Jason permanently. Not that there was anything left to break up. I saw him at a coffee shop once. He tried to talk to me. I walked past him without a word. Job offers started coming in. Companies that were impressed by my technical skills and my courage. One CEO told me directly, "You are exactly the kind of person we need. Someone with integrity who will not compromise when it matters." I took a job at a security firm in Denver. Fresh start, new city, better company. They valued ethics over profit. 6 months after everything ended, I was invited to speak at a tech ethics conference in San Francisco. Standing on that stage, looking at 300 faces, I thought about how far I had come. I told them my story. All of it. The firing, the retaliation, the fear, the moments I almost gave up. Then I told them what I learned. I did not start out trying to be a hero. I was just angry and hurt and made an impulsive decision to change some passwords. But what I learned is this: when you stand up to injustice, even when you are terrified, even when you lose, everything you discover what you are really made of. I lost my job, my home, my relationship, my savings. But I found something more valuable: my integrity. I found people who believed in me. I found my courage. The system is designed to protect the powerful. Companies like TechVault count on people being too scared to fight back. They count on people accepting settlements and signing NDAs because they cannot afford to fight. They count on people being isolated and alone. But here is what they did not count on: people connecting with each other. Whistleblowers finding allies. Detectives like Sarah Hammond who care about justice more than politics. Lawyers like Garrett Shaw who fight for the right reasons. The truth coming out anyway. If you are facing retaliation or injustice at work, document everything. Find people you can trust. Do not fight alone. And know that doing the right thing is not easy. It is the hardest thing you will ever do. But it is worth it. Because the alternative is living with the knowledge that you let them win. I am working now at a company that values integrity over profit. I am rebuilding my life. I am proud of who I am. And that is something no corporation can take away from you. Your sense of self-worth when you know you did the right thing. After the speech, dozens of people came up to me. Young women dealing with their own workplace injustices. They asked for advice. They shared their stories. I gave them my email address. I told them they were not alone. I drove to my hotel that night thinking about everything. A year ago, I was sitting in my car in a parking garage, humiliated and devastated. Now I was speaking at conferences, helping others, building a new life. The domain access that started everything. It was never really about the passwords. It was about power. Who has it, who abuses it, and what happens when ordinary people refuse to be victims. I thought about Angela's kids, safe and happy now, about Caroline thriving in her new career, about Detective Hammond who got promoted for her investigative work, about Garrett who took our case when we had nothing to offer him but the truth. I thought about Marcus facing federal charges and financial ruin, about Patricia unemployed and unhireable, about Derek pleading guilty to fraud charges, about the company that thought it was untouchable dissolved into bankruptcy and lawsuits. And I thought about myself. Brittany Foster, The girl who grew up without much, who worked her way through college, waiting tables and taking night classes, who built her career from scratch, who survived the worst thing that ever happened to her and came out stronger. The victory was not just that I won, it was that I became someone I was proud to be, someone who fought back, someone who refused to let them destroy her, someone who, when faced with an impossible choice between surrender and resistance, chose resistance every single time. That is the real triumph, not revenge, not money, but knowing that when it mattered most, I stood up. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. I read your story online. I am dealing with something similar at my company. Would you be willing to talk? I smiled and typed back. Yes, let me help you. The cycle of justice continues. I am not just a survivor anymore. I am someone who helps others survive, and that makes everything I went through worth it. So, here is my question for you. Have you ever faced a moment where you had to choose between what was easy and what was right? What did you do? Share your story in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories about people who refuse to give up when everything seemed lost. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes knowing you are not alone makes all the difference. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminded you that courage is not about never being scared. It is about being terrified and doing the right thing anyway. Take care of yourselves, and remember, you are stronger than you think you are.